as I was making another video of this whole experience and going to Auschwitz, um, I feel very terrified for my life. Um, this was whatever small token it counted for, me being here. I still think it was the right thing for me to do. Of many other places I could have gone. Um, they're exchanging the tragedies that while I was there to their benefit. I don't know who gave the authority to, but so much of this was to make sure that I will never be able to do a full-time other career out of the entertainment field, even if it is to a normal job for the rest of my life. It was very persecuting. I don't know if I could enforce that enough. And the idea is that they were shooting these electronic devices at me, and they were just playing these, psychological tactics while I was there. They kept on making sure I was at the back of the line. They kept on following me as I was going from left to right, standing in front of me, taking pictures. They were doing all these tactics that someone was telling them, and then some other individual threatened me, telling me what religion, saying something like, no, you go over there, or some shit like that. And I don't know really what else to say, because someone had told these people to do this. And obviously it's coming from the President of the United States. It gives some sort of authority. This is Poland, and I just can't imagine what the citizens in the straight community, probably some of them, have to go through while they're here. They're shooting me in my... So, I think it's important because, I'm walking in and you see mountains of hair of people that were murdered, and shoes, and you see disabled equipment that people were stripped of, suitcases, of the conditions that, some of these things were going in. I had somebody look over at me and point a gun at me like he was going to kill me. And they were just going into this whole situation as a joyride. That's all it was, to persecute me. It's very disturbing for me because, I was really just there coasting, listening as best as I could. But they were wanting to invade my personal space, my personal life, in such a way that it's threatening for the future of my life. I don't care, President Barack Obama, whatever these people think of him, or, I'm probably going to deal with it when I get back to the U.S., the United States. And, but as far as the situation is, and I said that, what I said on that video and what my experiences were, and, when somebody is bringing headphones and telling me I need to be a DJ, and then the Classic Soul's the one that saved my life, he's a Christian now, and all this other shit, they wouldn't stop about what the fuck was going on. This is supposed to be a place where, for me also, is wanting to have another career that I don't have to associate with people that is in that world of entertainment. If people want to go make their millions, they can. But, as I'm walking through there and you look at, places where thousands of people were hung and tortured and beaten and starved to death, and it's an amusement park almost to these people, whoever was setting it up to make me feel this way and to make me think this way. It's probably a big issue with this, with me being Mexican, my hair being black, and the fact that I was raped by a transgender. That's such a key role in this situation, because I'm infected with HIV, and got raped, and I'm 39 years old. My longevity expectancy of life isn't going to be very likely not to be very long. Um, Even though I've tried to take care of myself the best way that I could, they wouldn't let me work out. All these different things that I talk about is so true, but I'm just trying to really maintain my life. You know, I don't think anybody should have the right, President Barack Obama, George Bush, and these people, to persecute me to their religious order. They do it so refinedly that they do every single detail. They train me and piss me off, and I wouldn't say just piss me off, but they train me to mentally to do as they say and believe as they say and do as they say. And um, on my phone, by moving the screen across, putting pins on the map, making the screen so it's an agitating tool. I get agitated, and then when I walk out of the building, they say something else, and they wear, they change their clothing whenever we're at that place. They do all these tactics, and these people, some of them were pretty disgusting and very hateful. Um, it's very upsetting because it's so strictly founded on justifying and reasoning why that I was raped by a transgender. The bottom of this situation is I got raped by this transgender unwillingly. I don't know if there were shooting electronic devices in my brain that could have made this happen, but this is not something that they don't want me to talk about. They don't want me to go into drastic detail and rearrange the story of what really happened. I am a victim of rape. I am a victim of what these people are. I don't like playing the victim, but that's exactly what had happened to me. And they're taking it for a joyride because they want to feel sorry for their fellow gay members by a dream makeover house and all these things that are going on. I've done nothing wrong in so many ways and been a better human than many of these people, and many departments in life, and many people that I've ever known in my life. But it's something that it's something that you realize that how worthless a human life can be thrown in a garbage can, and it doesn't bother them. It's just a book. It's just psychology. It's just belief. It's just this and that. I'm a human being just like everybody else, and I don't think that I should be discriminated and purged at like this in such a horrible way. People in the U.S. when I was in Disneyland were already preparing this because they knew it was going to be awful when I got here. And they very calculated because they wanted to make sure, say, okay, we're going to have Hector make feel very traumatized, and that's what you're supposed to feel because it's Auschwitz. Well, you know, there were millions of children, millions of people. I even saw in some cases there were children. I'm not kidding. I saw that says that it's not recommended for anyone under the age of 14 years old to be there, and I probably agree with that. But I saw a few kids there, and it was it was a little bit disturbing. But I don't have the choice to say anything. I'm just there for myself, and there along with many other people. They're walking in this line, as they're going, they're all shooting at me like snipering and in such an awful way. This was very prejudiced without a doubt. They started setting up someone that looks like Michelle's daughter, the white princess and all this other shit, and they started insinuating things that I need to marry a black girl, and that's all that's left for me. I'm not attracted to black girls. It's not that and nobody should tell me that that's who I need to start having sex with and marry by using a crucifix and justifying, but that is all they're doing to this situation. To be HIV positive and go through a bone marrow transplant and be there, I think that is that's something to say about my life. I've done a lot of walking. There's a lot of things that I don't want to be doing. Sometimes walking these distances. But when I'm walking and going to these places, they make it very haggling and very tiring. Um, the minute that I'm walking through there and you see that, work will set you free, in German, and you're walking with this guy that it's right there where you can tell that this mother, these people, these motherfuckers are just sort of just there to kind of sort of antagonize me in a situation. Like, they want to make sure, okay, we're going to clean up his mother because we raped him, and then the gay community for Kenneth DJ Kino for 97.90 for black niggas and hip hop 50 Cent. So I don't know. To my understanding, much of all the surroundings and a lot of the headphones and people that were either trying to play music or something around me before I got there, after, during, and between were, I'm guessing that 50 Cent and probably some other rap stars are spending millions of dollars to either buy people tickets and planes and whatever it is. But as far as it goes for me, one of the most discriminating, prejudiced, out just walking around. I had that German guy when I was trying to eat a burger. You know, this is strictly for the bound to go against me, and to benefit them. And they were using my mother as sort of a metaphysics way. I just can't. When I was in that gas chamber, when I was in that crematory, and when I was all around that area, there were just like hyenas running around that, like, they don't give a shit. They're just for their specific perception. They know that I'm infected with HIV and there's no cure for it. So they're using that as a weapon to incarcerate me into their own perspectives of what life should be, and when I'm not bothering anyone. When I'm walking up and down these halls, doesn't give a shit. Right when I walked out and smoked a cigarette, the person a couple doors down or the door was shutting the door. When I first got here booking the place, they had some person behave like themselves, like they were Frankie or something, and saying, "Oh, that's my mother." And they do these acting roles to make me think of what that character is, and I've never met these people. And they start using all the situations to their advantage to infuse that into my mind to make me believe that. And as I'm, as I'm speaking to this person, this individual starts like pressing an electronic device, and I can't even think or talk. I just stay like this, and I just stay like this, and I can't move. And he's doing this to me as he's pointing his finger, telling me, "No, that's where you're going to go, the crucifix. No, that's where you're going to go." And this is what this motherfucker is. I don't think these people work here. Whatever situation, they're utilizing my mother's mentality and struggles and suffering for their personal gold, to make sure that it benefits their homosexuality and the gays, because I'm surrounded by nothing but gay brothers, and because of that is a problem. And I don't know if Julian got with a transgender and then bought a child or something, or whatever these situations, but they're justifying whatever their personal relationships is to be more dominant, more influence toward my mother, and say who's in charge, because I'm the only straight child my mother has. Like I said, these people didn't give a fuck. These people didn't give a fuck if I was dead. Before I even walked into the crematories or the block areas, before any of that, they were already preparing. When I get into the fucking car, they get taxi driver. They get somebody that looked exactly like Ken Cooper. Remember the white hero? Remember he's just deputy. These people is all what they did this for, and I couldn't really explain. I don't feel like I could express enough that I really wanted this to be more of a good intention for me to be here, and that was the only reason I was here. When I'm going to the hostels, the front desk, the people when they're in there, they're very selective on who they're picking out, corner me like an animal. They're dissecting every emotional compound. It's so crazy, the mental games that they're torturing me with. The fact that they're shooting these electronic devices non-stop, putting transgenders all around me. I'm going to sleep and I'm getting erections when I know I'm not thinking of sex. And it's because they have a transgender next to me, or the secretary, and they're playing these sickening games with me. It's very, like, even when I walked out and smoked a cigarette, there was somebody that looked like this guy. They get somebody to shape that body shape size, that walks. There's empty parking lot, there's no one outside, and he walks over there and he starts running toward that way, and there's a big church right over on that other side, right just about 20 yards from here. And there's a big church, and so he starts running directly toward the church, and that's what he's doing, because they know that I was running when it was raining over at the GED class. Now, I say this because that's how persecuting these motherfuckers are. They don't know the pain and suffering that I went through, because that's the pig-infested behavior that they were doing to me. I will never find a cure for this HIV, but their religious beliefs in Christianity and their version of what they think is true, or how they want to see the world. And I don't think I should be persecuted, when I'm not doing anything, not breaking the laws, and I'm being for the most part, a very good citizen, and yet this type of behavior is happening. They just want to get away and laugh with me being raped and infected, and control the sexual relationships that I'm going to have in my future, to make sure they're black, to make sure that I marry a person, because they're using all the compounds of a church to enclose me. So then that's, oh, okay, you just don't like because of racism. Oh, remember Jesus? Oh, remember, and they just keep doing that shit over and over. They did this on purpose, and this was to basically execute me for their advantage. These people, they don't give a fuck. They don't care. They just want to be able to do whatever that is that they want to get away with for their gay community and transgenders, and poison me and corner me and terrorize me like they were doing in Barre, Vermont. Like I said, I wasn't able to walk to Auschwitz. I wasn't able to go to a lot of these places because I wasn't able to exercise enough when I was in Barre, Vermont, because Jeremy, that guy, was charging at me. I had all these crucifixes and Bible and all this in this room, and this guy was threatening me, and it still follows me all the way over here. So as far as this situation goes, it's very hopeless for me. I couldn't, as a mortal human being that I'm going to die, as a mortal human being that I am going to die one day, it is very bad, very evil to do this, because they're in this preparation for my own mortality and death. That's all they're focused on. How I'm going to live for the rest of my life, to the death point, to their religious beliefs. If I'm not your Christian and I'm not your Catholic, leave me alone. Okay, I'm not of your religion, and I told this guy here, if I'm not your religion, I can find somewhere else to live. You're not going to control my mother, and I'm not of your God, or whatever it is you want me to do. And he shoots an electronic device to tell me, no, you're gonna go to that crucifix. And he does this shit, and they're training me, beating me doing this. So, like I said, just as they ditched my dead little sister and taunted her, why wouldn't they want to do this anywhere else? Why wouldn't they want to do this anywhere else? Why wouldn't they want to do this to me even more? That was my sister. And I'm having to remember and tell these stories, and now they're trying to make it, oh, how Julian owns some of that too, and Frankie. Well, I was there most of the time. I was the one observing. I could tell you these stories. Julian could barely remember any of this shit, and Frankie really wasn't there at all, other than just making little small moves in here and there. So then they put more of the credit, go over here and go over there, and they know it belongs to this, and it's very persecuting. Probably something I don't think I'm ever going to forget, walking in those crematories and gas chambers and in those areas where people were, sleep on haystacks and just unbelievable suffering as a glory ride. And I'm being circled and hounded down like hyenas. As soon as they come in here, when I'm in the gas chambers, somebody goes in there and just starts kind of like giggling, kind of puts his hand over his mouth a little bit, and charging at me. And they're just walking in there like, oh look, you're not what you're in. And they're doing this because it's I'm not kidding. There was dozens of these people that were running in there, just breaking every boundary that you can imagine. They don't give a fuck. This was, how can we use this situation? How can they use this situation to their advantage? I like my freedom of religion. I like my freedom of life. And I don't think that anybody should have the right, and President Barack Obama or George Bush or any other president, to take those things away from me because they're shooting me with electronic devices. This was no accident. And this is a whole sympathy ride because Kenneth is a transgender too, so he's a transgender leader, and now Richard Martinez is a leader for the church. This is a march to death that they're doing against me, when I'm just there to try to do my best. I don't think to do my best to listen to what they're talking about, the historical place and some of the things that had happened there. For the instructor to sit there and conversate with me, he was just shitting out of his mouth. This individual was just shitting his whatever he can. They get so used to going to those places, like, yeah, death there, dead over there, and it's just my life has to move on, and my life should be able to be not conditioned and brainwashed and forced to be in an entertainment field, and that it is so refined that they know that, like, okay, this will break them. Oh, okay. Like, for an example, this will get them to do what we want. And like, for an example, 3 days ago, I go to a place and this person tells me that they're a Satan worshiper. And they're training me right there before I go into the haunted house and saying this shit and trying to terrorize me to go to Christianity and all this other shit. And this is what this transgender piece of shit was doing. And what another transgender individual and an Indian motherfucker. Like, this is what they were fucking doing. And I'm trying my best just to make it like what it is. It's an amusement event that they have there. It's very difficult for me, even as, like I said, when I went into the haunted house, like, they have some sort of little bit physical contact, but the guy that was there was real tall, and he used an electrical volt, and he shot me into my neck. And I don't even know if that was part of it. And he goes like this, and my neck was sore, and he like shot me, and he goes, go over there. Like, he was pretending, because I talked about that there was a possible very tall individual or some entity when my grandpa died and all these things, and they're insinuating how white power was the white blonde girl, and how we're going to make sure Ken Cooper was white and he's the hero, and give him the platoon of heroic medals and respective energy and thoughts and vibes. And this individual is impregnating and poisoning that situation when entirely it wasn't. It's still very vague to me what had happened there. So the guy shoots me an electronic device, and as soon as he does this, as soon as this guy does this, it's because he's training me and telling me who I need to worship, and he's doing physical contact with me. And when he put me in the room, in one of the rooms in the haunted house, he grabbed my throat, and I kind of moved like, hey, what, it's like, hey, what the fuck, I kind of did that for a minute, like, this isn't part of the fucking act. And right before that, like, they threw me in a cage and my head ran into this little door or whatever, this cage or some shit. And, I don't know how much they weren't supposed to have that much physical contact, but this is exactly what I talk about. The guy that had the chainsaw, he put a chainsaw nearly in my rectum, like between the back between my legs, and goes, and he was trying to scare. And I was like, oh shit, and I was running, and I ran upstairs, and I just kept on running until I got the key and left. But like I said, This is some of the things that they're doing in order to benefit what they want. This is, um, you know, very persecuting. Okay, the people that were there, they're very finally. I can't explain how violent the electronic devices are controlling my brain. I cannot talk. I cannot pronounce words. I cannot vocally express or even have a clear thought. That even if I can't talk, I'm trying to make understanding of what was happening around me, and I can't. And they're shooting an electronic device and then training me in doing that, and they'll shoot it and they'll be like, oh, okay, that's what you said. Okay, no, that's what you said. Okay, that's what you said. And they'll just keep doing that. And they're doing this to me. So I hope this makes some sense to whoever can watch these videos. You know, like I said before, I've always been pretty terrified of my life, even though I go to the haunted houses and try to make the most of it. It's always a sense of, you know, it's, I can't explain that this wasn't intentional to get rid of my life and to kill me, get rid of me to their religious beliefs. Condition me over a long period of time at the highest level of psychology and ingenious ways. It's so poisoning that nobody's able to understand exactly what they're doing, but it works to tell me what religion I'm supposed to go to and in poison in that environment. I know who the person I've always been, and as a child, growing up, and before my transplant and after my transplant. And you don't have the right to be doing this to me.